Man, the crypto world, huh? It's like trying to walk through a maze blindfolded sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And then you throw in politics, and, well, it gets really wild really quickly.
It's like adding gasoline to a fire. And it's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We're talking about all the latest craziness in crypto, especially all the stuff with Eric and Donald Trump, and, of course, this whole U.S. strategic crypto reserve thing.
Right, like trying to figure out what's signal and what's just noise.
Exactly. We've been digging through a ton of articles, analyses, all that, trying to get to the bottom of it. And our mission, really, is to help you make sense of it all. You know, how do these big political pronouncements, like the stuff Trump's been saying, actually move the crypto market? What actually happened when the news dropped? And what could this all mean for crypto down the line, especially with the government potentially stepping in with this reserve thing?
Lots of questions, for sure.
A ton. But we want to give you the insights, cut through the jargon, all that. All right, let's jump in. Let's start with Eric Trump. He's been pretty vocal about crypto lately.
He has, yeah. And it's interesting, right, how his whole stance has kind of shifted pretty quickly. At first, it was all about never fade Eric Trump, like whatever he said, people would jump on it.
Right, like he had this Midas touch or something.
Yeah.
And the big thing was buy the dips, right? Buy when the price drops. And theoretically, you'll make bank.
Exactly.
And we saw that play out a few times, right? There was that tweet about Ethereum back in February the 4th, I think it was. Ethereum was above $2,700 then.
Yeah, and after that tweet, boom, the price dropped like 25%.
Crazy, right? And then just a couple days later, on the 6th, he tweets about Bitcoin. It was around $96,000 then. And he even tagged World Liberty Financial in the tweet, like hinting that it was a good time to buy.
Right, like he was giving them a shout out, almost an endorsement.
Yeah, but guess what? Bitcoin took a tumble too, about 14.5%. And that dip was actually tied to, get this, President Trump saying he was sticking with those tariffs?
Oh, wow. So even a crypto endorsement couldn't beat the bigger economic forces at play.
Apparently not. So tagging World Liberty Financial didn't quite work out for those trying to make a quick buck.
Definitely shows you how unpredictable things can be. And the data really backs this up, It doesn't seem like following Eric Trump's short-term advice consistently made people money.
Yeah, it highlights that gap between, influencer hype and what the market actually does.
Totally. And the bounces after his tweets, they were usually pretty short-lived.
Which makes sense, right? If you're trying to time the market based on tweets, you're probably going to have a bad time.
For sure. And that's probably why Eric kind of changed his tune, right? Remember that HODL tweet on March 3rd?
Oh, yeah, HODL. For those who don't know, it means basically hold on to your crypto, don't panic, sell when the price dips.
Right. So he went from saying buy now to saying just hold long term. Like he realized those short-term swings, maybe even influenced by his dad's policies, weren't the best way to play the game.
It's a classic story of short-term noise versus long-term vision.
Exactly.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about how the market reacted to all this Trump-related crypto news. There was that 11% jump on March 2nd, right? That seems like a pretty big deal.
It was, yeah. And that was right after President Trump mentioned a few altcoins, Cardano, Ripple, and Solana, as potential assets for a U.S. crypto reserve, along with Bitcoin and Ethereum, of course. Just mentioning them was enough to send the market soaring.
Shows you the power of, presidential endorsements, especially for those specific altcoins.
Absolutely. But like we saw with Eric's tweets, these spikes don't always last.
Right. What goes up must come down.
Exactly. The data actually shows that 11% bounce was super short-lived. The entire crypto market, all the coins combined, the total value actually dropped back down the very next day.
Oof. That's a reminder of just how volatile crypto can be.
It is. 1 minute you're up, the next you're down.
Totally. But then things got really interesting when the U.S. Strategic Crypto Reserve was officially announced.
Yeah, that was huge. Once it was confirmed that Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano were all going to be part of this reserve, the market really took off. Bitcoin jumped 10%, Ethereum 13%, and get this, Cardano went up over 60%.
Wow, 60%. That's insane. Makes you think, right? A clear government policy, or at least the market's interpretation of it, can have a huge impact.
Definitely.
So let's dig into this strategic crypto reserve a bit more. We know President Trump announced it, and it involves this presidential working group on digital asset markets.
Yeah. So the reserve is going to be made up of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, like we said. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the core assets, which makes sense. They're the biggest, most established coins out there.
Makes sense. Now, Eric Trump was pretty fired up about this whole thing, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he was all over it. He called it a big win for retail investors, everyday people putting money into crypto. He even basically told Wall Street to get on board or get left behind.
Kind of a adapt or die message. And he also pointed out that the announcement came on a Sunday when the traditional markets are closed.
Right, like they were trying to make a statement, maybe give crypto a little head start.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah.
But not everyone was cheering, right? There were some serious concerns raised about this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. Adam Blumberg from the Enclave Group, he was pretty vocal about his worries. His big thing was that the government shouldn't be holding decentralized assets like Bitcoin.
Makes you think, right? The whole point of crypto is decentralization, taking power away from governments and institutions.
Exactly. And Blumberg's argument is that this could actually give the government too much power, which kind of defeats the purpose.
It's a huge contradiction. The very thing crypto is trying to disrupt is now potentially becoming a major player in the game.
Yeah, it really highlights this clash between the old world of finance and the new world of crypto.
Totally. Now, we can't forget about Michael Saylor. He seems to be on the buy the dip train, too, at least based on what he's been saying and doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The same day Eric Trump was telling people to buy the dips, Saylor tweeted, "Bitcoin on sale."
Short and sweet.
Yeah, he's basically saying, hey, the price is down. This is your chance to get in.
And he's putting his money where his mouth is, right? MicroStrategy, his company, they've been buying up Bitcoin like crazy.
They have. They've got over 499,000 Bitcoin now, and they just bought another 20,365.
Mhm.
They're all in on Bitcoin, that's for sure.
And a lot of his bullishness seems tied to President Trump, right? He thinks Trump's policies will be good for crypto.
Yeah, he's betting on that. He also thinks that regulations will become more favorable, that Bitcoin's a good hedge against inflation, and that we'll see more ETFs and institutional investors getting involved.
So he's thinking long-term, big picture.
Absolutely.
But let's be real, crypto is volatile. It's like a roller coaster. And some people are saying that all this political talk is just adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, there's definitely concern about market manipulation. This analyst, Old Nine Songs on Binance Square, they talked about something called a $10,000 door painting kill.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, it basically means a sudden price swing that wipes out a bunch of traders. And they think Eric Trump's tweets might have actually contributed to something like that happening.
Wow, so a tweet can potentially move the market by $10,000.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is. It shows you how much influence these people have. Old Nine Songs also said that Bitcoin's future is basically tied to what politicians say and do.
Like they're the puppet masters.
Kind of, yeah. They also mentioned a few upcoming events that could shake things up, like President Trump's congressional speech and this potential White House Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Conference.
So we've got politics, we've got economics, it's all intertwined. And speaking of economics, the sources also pointed out that what happens in the traditional markets can definitely spill over into crypto.
Yeah, totally. President Trump recently doubled down on those tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and that sent shockwaves through both the stock market and the crypto market.
Like a ripple effect.
Exactly. People started worrying about trade wars and what that would mean for the economy as a whole, and that fear spread to crypto too.
So even good news in the crypto world can get overshadowed by bad news in the bigger picture. And then there was that Bybit hack, right?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. Hackers, apparently from North Korea, stole a bunch of money from Bybit. It really shook people's confidence.
Makes sense. Hacks like that make people question the security of the whole crypto ecosystem.
Absolutely. And all of this, the tariffs, the hack, it all led to a huge spike in fear in the market. The crypto fear and greed index was basically screaming panic.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah.
Politics, economics, security, sentiment, it all plays a role.
For sure.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've seen how Eric Trump's crypto advice has evolved, how the market reacts to every little tweet and announcement, and how this U.S. strategic crypto reserve could change the game entirely.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. We've seen the power of political pronouncements, the tension between government involvement and decentralization, and the constant volatility that comes with the territory.
It's a lot to process, that's for sure. So for you listening out there, we want to leave you with some food for thought. As you think about all this, the short-term swings, the long-term visions, the influence of politics, the debate about government involvement, and the constant uncertainty, what do you see as the biggest opportunities in crypto? And what are the biggest risks? What are you going to research? What are you going to dive into to make sense of it all? Because one thing's for sure, this is just the beginning.
It's a fascinating space, that's for sure. And it's only going to get more interesting from here.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
And thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. All right, until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of crypto.
See you then.